If Etsy deleted this shop tomorrow, 30,000 sales, 4.9 stars, gone, how much of this business would still exist? For most shops, nothing. Why? Because the business is the storefront. Delete it, and there's no business left to move at all. But for a few of them, something actually survives. Let me show you what the survivors are holding on to, because it's specific, it's small, and every one of you watching could copy it this week. Let's start with DPC Digitals. The thing I want you to look at isn't a planner. It's a whole section of their shop that's called the DPC Vault. 22 listings sitting in it, and the anchor is a lifetime access product. It's the most expensive thing they sell. Now, stop and think about what that actually is, because every other listing in that shop is a one-time transaction. When somebody buys a planner, Etsy takes its cut from that purchase, and the buyer disappears back into Etsy's search bar, right? That's the typical e-commerce platform behavior. But lifetime access is a relationship that turns a one-time buyer into someone who has a reason to come back and a reason to stay reachable. And here's the part I almost missed, which turned out to be the strongest thing in this entire investigation. Read their shop announcement. What does it do? It sends buyers to their own website, and it tells them to go sign up for the newsletter to get free stuff. Then open any individual listing. Scroll to the bottom of the description. What do you see? Same pitch again. And when you actually go to that website, it's a freebie machine. Monthly free downloads going back years. All of it sitting behind a newsletter sign up. So their strategy is they're using the biggest rented marketplace on the internet to fill a mailing list they own, and they wrote it down in their own product descriptions. Okay. Now I'm gonna complicate my own argument, because DPC Digitals runs a community too. Actually, 5 of them. A main planning group plus fitness, recipes, gamer girls, and a book club. All 5 are Facebook groups, which means the room they built isn't theirs either. They walked out of one rented building and they set up in another one. And I'm gonna put a second thing on the table before this turns into a hero story. DPC Digitals runs Etsy ads, and they also run discounts. While I was pulling this data though, I found their listings sitting in Etsy's paid ad slots at 20 and 25% off. So it seems everyone's on the treadmill, but the difference is what the treadmill feeds. In my previous videos, I pointed out that this store, My Porsche Prints, stuffs its shop name into the middle of its listings, and Ali Mary Digital does exactly the same thing on every single one of theirs. I called it a free SEO habit, and then I simply moved on. But I underestimated it, because watch what it actually does. A buyer who remembers Ali Mary Digital can find Ali Mary anywhere she goes, whether on Google, on Instagram, or on a site of her own if she ever decides to build one. That name is portable and it survives the platform. A buyer who just remembers, you know that nice planner I found on page 1 somewhere? Well, that buyer belongs to Etsy, and permanently. There's no way to reach them again. That doesn't run back through Etsy's search bar and Etsy's fees. And it's not just the title. Open one of her listings and then scroll into the description. What do you see? There's an Instagram handle, there's a TikTok handle, and there's an email address. The same name is on all of them. So the name in the title isn't a cute SEO trick sitting there by itself. She's actively pointing Etsy buyers at those places from inside of Etsy's listings. That's the cheapest piece of owned infrastructure there is. The strongest shops, they treat the name like an asset. The weak ones, they leave it blank. So you can already see the shape here, right? The survivors aren't doing anything clever. In fact, what they're doing is small and boring things that they can keep, like a lifetime product, a mailing list, and a name people can carry out of the building with them. Now, let me show you what it looks like when the same effort has nowhere to land. Remember that discount wall that I mentioned in my previous videos? The 65% off, the 75% off. A whole shop marked down across the board. And the ad tags, the shops paying Etsy for placement on top of the fees they were already paying. Those looked like pricing choices at the time when I was looking at them. through today's lens, they're something completely different. They're what you're forced to do when nothing points anywhere. Think it through for a second. If the buyer's loyalty belongs to Etsy's search bar and not to you, no name they can remember, no list you can email, no reason to come back really, then the only lever you have left to win the next sale is your price. You discount and advertise once, then twice, then you wash and repeat forever. And the moment you stop, you vanish because there was never anything holding the customer to you in the first place. Let's take a look at this store, Let's Plan Planners. It has 354 listings, and every single one of those listings is on sale. It doesn't look like a seasonal promotion on a few items. It's all of them actually. The entire shop is permanently marked down. That's an enormous amount of work being done at a permanent discount, don't you think? Now, here's where I have to be fair to them, because when I went back to check this for the video, I found something I was not expecting. They built the same thing DPC Digital's built. Right there in their shop announcement, you can see that they've listed as a bestseller a whole shop bundle. You pay once and you get everything in the shop forever. That's lifetime access. That's the exact move I just spent 4 minutes praising. So this isn't a story about the smart shop and the dump shop. Both of them figured out that a one-time buyer is worth less than an ongoing one. Both of them built a product to fix it. But the difference is where that points. DPC Digital's lifetime product takes the buyer to a website and a mailing list DPC controls. Let's Plan Planners, what they do is they use their bundle to take the buyer straight back to Etsy. They've both got real equity here. They have the reviews, the search, ranking, and the reputation. It just doesn't travel. It's welded to the platform. Every dollar of their effort buys visibility that evaporates the second they stop spending. And the asset they built to fix that is sitting on the same rented ground as everything else. Okay, here's the thing I want you to sit with, and it's why this matters even if you never open an Etsy shop in your life. This isn't an Etsy problem. Look at how most creators and small business owners are actually set up. Not just Etsy sellers, you maybe. Your audience lives on someone else's platform. Your email list is on a tool you rent. Your payments run through a processor that can freeze you. Your traffic comes from an algorithm you don't control. And if you want to speak to the people who already paid you, you have to go through somebody who charges you for the privilege, right? All are rented boxes and none of them are connected. None of them are yours, and you're in the middle holding it together with your own labor, which is exactly what 354 permanently discounted listings looks like. The hub-centric model is just that survivor move, followed all the way through. You can rent the traffic. You'll always rent some traffic, no matter what. You need people from the marketplace, the search bar, and a social feed. That part is fine. You don't need to own distribution, but you need to own the center, the place where the relationship actually lives, the list you can export, the site that's yours, the name people can find. You need one structure that you can control with the rented platforms pointing into it instead of each holding a piece of you hostage. DPC Digital's built a version of that with a lifetime product that's feeding a newsletter. Ali Mary built the seed of one with a name she repeats everywhere. Neither of them left Etsy to do it though. They just stopped letting Etsy be the whole business. If you want to map your own version of this, that's what my private community is for. Links below. Now, back to the shops. This one's important because I'm about to tell you I'm biased. Everything I just showed you is real and you can check every bit of it yourself. The shop announcements, the freebie pages, the bundle listing, and the ad slots, it's all public information. But the conclusion that owning a central hub is better than renting every layer, that's my opinion. I can't see DPC Digital's revenue. I don't know how much of their business runs through that vault versus the other 1,000 listings. And I don't know if that newsletter has 400 people on it or 40,000. What I do know is that they built it. and they point buyers at it from inside of their own product descriptions. And something else you should know, this is the model I personally believe in, and I'm building my whole digital business around it. So I'm not a neutral party here. That's exactly why I'm keeping the evidence on their shops and not my own results. I'd rather show you what the people who do are quietly doing than ask you to take my word for it. Take it as the argument of someone who's convinced, not someone who's neutral, okay? So what do you actually do with this? Whatever you decide to sell and wherever you sell it. 1. Name the boxes you're renting, the audience, the email, the payments, the traffic, the product. Write down who owns each one. If the honest answer is not me 5 times, that's the problem, and now you can see it. 2. Own the cheapest layer first. Your name, same one everywhere, in the title and in the description, so people can find you off platform. It's free and it's portable. 3. Build one place the relationship lives that you control. Own your list. Everything else is optional, this one isn't. 4. Keep renting the traffic. This was never quit the platforms. The platforms are great at what they do, which is reach. Just stop letting them be the whole business. Point them at something that's yours. And if you already built the lifetime product, the bundle, the membership, check what it points. That's the Let's Plan Planners lesson. Building the right thing in the wrong place still leaves you renting. Mapping your rented boxes and building the own center instead is the exact thing we go deep on inside my private community. I look at your actual stack, the one you bring and drop on the table, and where the hub can take you from there. So bring what you've got and we'll position it for success together. In the next video, I'm staying in the investigation lane because I'm gonna look at a creator outside of Etsy entirely to see whether the same rent versus own split shows up when there's no marketplace involved at all. What's your guess? Do you think it shows up harder? Let me know in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.